Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today we're going to do a should you pull for Serah and Sherlotta FR. So Serah is getting a brand new FR and a BT, and Sherlotta is basically a rerun, but she is getting Echo and Force Boards here. So Sherlotta definitely is coming back and is going to be a good capable unit, right? So we're going to be looking at two banners here. One banner will have Sherlotta, Relm, and Steiner. The other banner will have Serah, Freya, and Caius. So let me talk about these banners and if I think you should pull or not. I'll kind of give you a brief explanation of each of the characters. So we'll start with Steiner. Now Steiner, what's interesting about him is I never did a character guide on him. So I am going to try to get one recorded so you guys can kind of see what he's looking like. Because he's not really getting anything new here. He's basically, I'll record the character guide probably before he drops. Just so you can get a good look at what he does. But Steiner really, he's kind of like a defensive buffing unit. He does have like a debuff or two. I think he's only got one debuff actually, but he's mainly like a buffing unit. And he does some buffs that like help protect the party. So like, I think he has like a fat 200% defense up. He has brave damage reduction. He has HP damage reduction. So he's kind of like a pseudo tank. Like I don't feel like Steiner's enough to like keep you completely safe. He's not like a Warrior of Light or like a Gladio, but he does a lot of buffs that does help reduce damage, right? And then he does like okay-ish damage, but once again, as like an LD only character, I just feel like Steiner doesn't do enough, right? Because you can't really use him as your main support. You can't really use him as your main DPS. So he's got to be like this oddball like third unit on the team. And, you know, for that third slot, that's typically where you want like a main tank or an off turn. And to me, like Steiner isn't like tanking enough to you know, he can maybe tank enough to help you get through fights, right? But are you going to rather use him or just use Gladio or Wall, right? So the thing is like he can do his job decent enough, but there's going to be other characters that do it way better that you probably already have. So Steiner's just one of these characters. He's kind of in the middle. He does have an attack that does fire, by the way. Fire's kind of the theme this month. So there's been a lot of fire going on. But he doesn't like enchant or anything. It's literally one attack that does fire. So is Steiner worth going for here? Probably not. But if you want to check out my new character guide, I'll get it up within the next day or two. And you can take a look at Steiner and see if you like him or not. Then we have Relm. Relm FF6. Of course I like Relm. She's a character I like. I like FF6. She's really cool. She's definitely fallen off, but she's a character that's kind of interesting that she has longevity in kind of a weird way. So Relm is one of the most unique characters in the game in that she takes on the element of whatever summon you have equipped. So she literally attacks with the summon you have equipped. So she's very versatile that way. She can be whatever element you want. So for that, Relm is very cool. And the reason why she has longevity, she's mainly kind of like a damage dealer unit, right? But the reason why she has longevity and can survive even though her damage isn't crazy, she has a sketch debuff that basically makes it so anytime the enemies get a turn, she comes in and steals free turns. So she gets a ton of like free stolen turns that don't count against your turn count. So like, on a singular turn, her damage isn't crazy, but if you add up how much she does in all of the free turns, it actually is comparable to like what a good like LD only character can do in this era, right? So she's a character that people were using like early Shinryu, who like didn't want to pull for force characters, and the boss had so much HP it was hard to meet turn count without force. Well, Relm is the kind of character that would help people through that because you save a lot of turns because she gets a ton of free turns of free damage. So she's interesting, but she's definitely not a must pull. She is just something really nice though to have in your back pocket in case you just want to have like any element in the game. And the one side thing about Relm is if you equip the Sylph Summon, she becomes one of the better healers in the game because the Sylph Summon allows her to heal over a cap that other healers can't get, which is kind of cool. And it's maybe like an underrated thing about Relm that people don't know about. The bad part about that is you are sacrificing like a really good Spiritist summon to put Sylph in. Because Sylph is a very low level summon that I don't know that they'll ever upgrade, right? So like if you're okay sacrificing your summon slot, like even with Sylph just having like the free summon turns and not doing damage is probably still fine if you want to turn Relm into like a crazy healer. But obviously it's probably more efficient just to run an actual healer than to run Relm, but it's just something fun you can do. But yeah, Relm, not really something you should chase here. She's just kind of a cool side character. Then we've got Sherlotta. So Sherlotta, if you're summoning on this banner, she's the reason why you would be summoning. She isn't getting any new weapons, so there's a good chance that some of you will come in like me and just have her green-blue already ready to go. You're just going to get a free Echo character. Yay, right? Very nice. If you don't have her, should you go for her? I would say right now, probably not. She is really good. She's a super good battery character. She does gravity, which is really cool. And if you're unfamiliar with gravity, it basically means you just shave the enemy's brave down without actually dealing brave damage, and it's like a guaranteed percentage, right? It can really help against like tanky enemies and things like that. And her brave gains are very good. The problem is she doesn't really have any like crazy healing in her kit. She's really more about battery and brave gain. And there are other healers that can battery and brave gain probably just as well, if not better, that do a little bit more than Sherlotta does. So I feel like, and Sherlotta's just fallen off a little bit for me, but she has, her call's good as like a brave gain call, and she is really good if you want to use her, right? Like I max mine out. I don't invest in characters typically that are bad, so if I invested in her, she's very good. It's just right now there's too much competition. Like we're getting pretty close to Aerith Echo, and Aerith Echo is just going to be so much better than Sherlotta. Like, if you're low on resources, I would probably save and stash that. The other thing with Sherlotta, she's a character that benefits a lot from the BT effect, which you're going to want green. So she is kind of high investment. So if you, like, have no Sherlotta anything, it's probably a good idea to skip, because one, you'd have to invest your gems and tickets, and then two, you've got to invest BT ingots and stuff, and BTs are coming around a lot more frequently now, so they are going to make the materials more available, but they're tempting you with more characters at the same time, so it's not like a free-for-all. You can't just green everybody still. You still have to kind of pick and choose. They're giving you more materials because BT characters are going to be thrown at us a lot more. So you just have to be careful there. And I think characters like Rubicante and Aerith are going to be way better to invest that in. And they're too close. Now, if you have an excess of materials and you can afford to do it, Sherlotta's a great investment. She's a very good character. So don't feel bad about going for her. But when I make these recommendations, I'm coming from the standpoint of maybe a new player or a newish player or a player that's like kind of going from banner to banner in terms of resource level, that they're not like 4 or 5 banners ahead. They don't have that many resources. So if you're someone that's kind of like in the neutral to like low area of resources, probably can skip this, right? All right, so now we're going to look at Serah's banner. So Serah's going to have Freya and Caius on it. I will say this right now, Serah's banner overall is a lot stronger. So if you're going to summon on one of the two, I think Serah is definitely the one to hit. Just because the side characters, I see value in both of them, probably a little bit more than the other two. Because these are more like utility characters that have different value rather than like just damage. And like the other characters have some defense and battery, but they're characters that do that way better, right? Caius, he's basically like a launch specialist. So I know there's a lot of players out there that maybe lack Selfie, they lack Sid Reigns, right? Characters like that. Caius can be a nice fill-in for that role. Caius is a character similar to Reigns in that he has turn manipulation and launching. Reigns is definitely better at it and is the better character. But if you need just like a quick low invest option, you could grab Caius. Caius's call is actually very good as well, that he can enable launch through the call. It is just a one turn, but like if you are ready to go with like your burst phase character, you can hit the call, then go right into burst, and then that burst that launch damage should last through the entire burst. So you can still do it similar to how you would with the Reigns call. Reigns call just has a little bit more longevity in that. I think his call is 2 to 3 turns. So you can actually play around a little bit before you go into the burst. But yeah, if you need that that call to initiate launching, or you want a launch character, Caius is decent. Don't go in here just for Caius though. Unless your box is lacking 100%, like you don't have any launch at all anywhere in your box, it's probably not a bad idea to pick up a LD just for the call, but that's up to you. Then we have Freya. Freya's fantastic. Now, I think Freya's a character that a lot of people who missed on, like, kind of wish they had her just as another off-turn option. Literally, you can think of Freya as a mini Kayn. She does basically the exact same thing as Kayn. She's basically a support version of Kayn. So Kayn's more of a straight DPS, jump up in the air, drop the bombs. Freya's the same thing, but she's more of like a battery support, jump in the air, drop the bombs. She literally operates the same way. Pop LD, free instant turn, get special HP attack to jump up in the air, and you're off. So Freya is just a really great one. She's a great alternative to Kayn if you don't have them. And she's also a great complement to Kayn because when you're doing things like Dare to Defy, Lockout content, you want more off turn. In fact, in the last Dare to Defy set, I think I used both Kayn and Freya, and I think I had a third fight where I wish I still had one of them. So I think off turn is something that you really can't get too much of because they're so valuable for team comps and for like really dealing a lot of damage. And what's so valuable about Kayn, Freya and 7 is that their off-turn triggers on any ability, you don't actually have to deal damage. So if you have Freya, Kayn, or 7 on your team and their traps or their off-turn or whatever is active, you can be ramping with Penelo, dropping bombs every time you activate, right? So that's really, really good when you can get that. When you're doing non-damaging things and still getting it, it's really, really fun. So Freya actually is a fantastic pickup. I would say for like the side banner characters, Freya definitely is the MVP here. She's the one you want. And then we've got Serah. Now Serah, I personally like Serah. I think she's a really good character. She's a very good support character who has very good auras, right? I think her auras are actually quite good. And the thing with Serah, so she's basically like she's a unique combo of like, she's like a support battery character, but very heavy on the debuff side. Debuffing is a big part of her kit. She's got a really strong poison in her kit. So she does a lot of things. The big thing Serah's missing is she's missing healing. So if you can get healing somewhere else, Serah is a great complement to maybe another support character. Like Serah basically can be your main support. Like her buffs, her auras are all good enough. It's just she lacks healing. So you got to be careful about not having the healing. Now in terms of her burst and her FR, I actually really like it. Her burst is basically going to give her off turn. So it's anytime you debuff the enemy, she does off-turn attacks. Now, it's not as straightforward as like a core or a Kayn or something, but the fact that she gets powerful off-turn while doing really good auras and buffing, like Serah's actually quite good. And then the thing is with her FR, one of her HP damage conditions is just when you take an action, it's 5% per debuff on the enemy. So if they're full of 8 debuffs, it's 40% off-turn, or not off-turn, but it's just 40%. Even if you don't attack, right? So you could like ramp up and still get 40% plus the ramp. Like you could do like 90% ramps with this, which is pretty good. So Serah's fun. Like, and she's not going to be like the top tier FR that you want to use or that you have to use. But I think if you like Serah and you get the BT and you're getting off turn now with like the other things she's doing and the powerful debuffs, Serah's actually looking pretty good to me with a really nice echo. So here's the thing I would say. Because, like, and Serah isn't a must get, so I'll say that right off the bat. She's definitely skippable. And if you're someone that's going banner to banner, you only have enough resources for one, still say for Rubicante and Aerith. Those are probably the next two, like, must gets, or as close to a must get as you can say, right? But what I will say is if you have resources and you kind of like what I just talked about, like Serah is actually really fun. I am going to redo her guide. So if you want a sneak peek, you can look at her old guide to get like her base kit down. But I am going to do a new guide. Her numbers are going to look a lot better. I'm going to show off her FRBT. I'm planning to get all that stuff. I think she's going to be a lot of fun. But I think there's just a lot of value in that Freya is a really, really nice side pickup. Like, really, really nice side pickup. And Caius, I think, can be a decent pickup if you need some launching, right? So, anyways, I would say for the average player, sure, probably skip. But if you got the resources for it. The one thing I will say, Freya, I think Freya falls into that tier of side character where if you're missing what she does, like if you don't have good off turn, if you don't have Kayn, she is really worth going in. Like, this is a banner where I could almost justify, say, go in. Like, I think I said this on, like, the selfie banner that we just had recently. This is the banner that I would say you could sneak in with tickets, whether you're going for Serah or not. Sneak in and grab Freya. Like, she's a really good pickup that you can get on a budget. I really couldn't blame you if you wanted to chuck, like, 100 or 200 tickets to get Freya LD. I would not blame you because she is worth it as a side character. She is one of the better aging side characters in the game, right? So anyways, let me know if you're going to pull or not. Let me know what you all think. I am going to go all in on Serah. I think I'm even going to green blue her. I really like her. I think she's going to be a lot of fun. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.